This video is going to go over Unit 2 review to help prepare for our test. Number 1, this table shows the time it takes a prototype car to travel different distances. So we have hours 0, 3, 5, 8, and 12, and the distances in 3 hours it goes 135 miles, in 5 hours 225 miles, 8 hours 360 miles, 12 hours 540 miles. It wants to know what is the constant rate of change in the situation in miles per hour. So the first thing to know is that it is asking for what is the constant rate of change. And in order to do that, we can look on page 17 of our journal if you needed to look back on your own. If not, when we look at a table, what we're trying to figure out is the distance in between our x values and our y values, and then we would end up dividing. So from 0 to 3 is 3, from 0 to 135 is 135. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the y value, which is the one on the right, and the x value, which is the one on the left, and we're going to stack them together to make a fraction, y divided by x. So 135 divided by 3. We're trying to figure out how much it would be if there was only 1 for the x in the table. So when you set this up, 3 divided into 135 should go 45 times. Okay, that would mean if x was 1, that y would be 45. So over here on our answer choices, it would be B, 45 miles in just 1 hour. Question 2, Tim's mom filled the gas tank in her SUV and spent $54 for 12 gallons of unleaded gas. What is the constant of proportionality that relates the cost in dollars to the number of gallons used? Basically, so we're talking about a unit rate, and this is also real close to that in our journal. It is on page 17, unit rates. And what we need to know is how much is just 1 gallon. Per gallon is what it asks for. So if you spend $54 and you get 12 gallons, $54 and 12 gallons, how much is just 1? Which is a simple division problem. I'm going to divide 12 into 54. This is going to be 4 because 4 times 12 is 48. When you subtract, you will get 6. I have a remainder of 6, but that's not how the answer is represented. So I would add a 0 and a decimal. And when I divide 12 into 60, that goes 5 times, and it goes perfect match with 0 remainder. So my answer would be $4.5 per gallon. Number 3, Ken was pricing ingredients for a recipe he was planning to make for a dinner party. The store sold 4 different brands of the same product. So we have basically 4 individual questions. Okay, 7 ounces cost $3.64. 3 ounces cost $1.68. 9 ounces is $5.22, and 5 ounces is $2.90. So which statement about the unit cost of the different brands is true? So I'm looking for which one is true. And our answer choices say B is lower than A, D is higher than A, B and C are the same, or none of these statements are true. So what I need to find out is how much would just 1 ounce be in each one of these situations instead of however many they have. So I'm going to take how many are here, and I'm going to divide it to see the value of just 1. So my first one is 364 divided by 7. And this one's going to be 52 cents. Then the second one 3 divided into $1.68. And the next one is going to be 56 cents. Then C, 9 divided with 522 is 58 cents. And then this last one, 5 divided with 290 is 58 cents. So when I check these answer choices, it says B is lower than A. Well, B is 56 and A is 52. So that's not true. D is higher than A. D is 58 and A is 52. Okay, that's true. B and C are the same. Well, B is 56 and C is 58. So that's not true. Therefore, my answer would be B, that price for brand D is higher than price of brand A. Okay, number 4. This should really just say John. John lost 3.58 kilograms after 2 weeks of exercise. If 1 gram is approximately 2.2 pounds, about how many pounds did John lose? So this actually already tells me how much 1 is worth. 1 is worth 2.2. And we want to know if I had 3.58, how many would it be? So I just need to simply multiply these. 3.58 times 2.2. And then I'm needing a placeholder 0. And then all my digits will be the same because I'm multiplying with a 2 again. And this time I have 3 digits behind the decimal. I'm going to scoot that over. I've got the 5, the 8, and the 2. 3 digits behind the decimal. So 7.876, which could round up to 7.88 because it says approximately. So that would be D. Number 5, an opening of a new art gallery. The owner hired a caterer to serve some snacks. The owner will have to pay $563.25 for the food. If the owner decided to give a 12% tip, how much extra would the catering service earn from the tip? So this question, I only need to know how much is getting earned from the tip, not the total. So the tip is only 12%. And we did tips on our journal, and that was on page 20. There was a little flap you could open up. It said the first thing you do is to make your decimal, your percent into a decimal. So 12% is 0.12. Then the second thing it said to do was multiply your number, 563.25, with the decimal, so 0.12. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12, carry a 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Then I need a placeholder because I'm done with that one. Then 1 times 5, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 6, and 1 times 5. Okay, now I'm going to add, I'm going to add those together. 0, 5 plus 5 is 10. 6 plus 1 plus 2 is 9. 2 plus 3 is 5. 6 plus 1 is 7. And 5 plus 1 is 6. Now all the digits behind the decimal are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this says 67.59, and it only wants to know the tip. So I would stop. I would not go ahead and add this on with what was there previously. The closest answer is C, 67.69, and some of you may have had a version on your test that got corrected and said 67.59, and some of you may have this one that says 67.69, but C is definitely the best answer. It's the closest thing to how much just the tip would be. Number 6, Haley bought 2.4 pounds of almonds for $18.48. How much did she pay per pound for the almonds? Again, this is a unit rate question, which we did on page 17 of our journal. We just want to know how much 1 pound is worth. So if I have $18.48 for 2.4 pounds, I'm trying to figure out how much is 1, which is, again, just a division problem. We don't want to divide with a number outside the box having a decimal, so I'm going to move these over 1 so that I have 24. All right, we're going to try a 7. 24 times 7 is our first number, and that is 168. When I subtract from this, I'm going to get 16. Bring down that 8, and I have 168 again, so that's going to be another 7. When I subtract, I get 0 remainder. So 7.7 in money would mean the same as $7.70 is how much 1 pound would cost. Number 7, an architect is making a scale model of a house, and on the model, 2.5 inches means 10 yards in real life. So I'm going to use that information. 2.5 inches represents 10 yards. I'm going to make a little table, and on my graphs, you can look, the x-axis has the inches. The y-axis has the yards. So that's why I'm making my XY table like that. 2.5 inches makes 10 yards. So when I go graph this, I'm going to go sideways to 2.5, and then I'm going to go up to the 10, and I'm going to put a dot. So I would go 2.5 to the right, and then I would go up 10 and place a dot. So this first one, I go sideways. 2.5 would be halfway between 0 and 5. So I'd go here and then up to 10, and I would place a dot right there. I want the dot to be on the graph. So this one is good so far. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to try the next one. I'm going to go to 2.5 and then up to 10, and I'm going to place a dot right here. If it's not on the graph, then that means this one is definitely not correct. I'm going to go down to answer choice B. I'm going to go over to 2.5. I'm going to go up to 10 and place a dot. This one again is not on the graph, so it's a no. And then the last one, again, 2.5 is this first line, and then up to 10 right here, place a dot. Sometimes you will have two graphs that have the same first dot, and then you have to keep trying. But for us on this one, A is the only one that has that dot for 2.5 and 10. Number 8, Munson Sporting Goods purchases bowling balls from a manufacturer for a wholesale price of $60 each. There is a 40% markup when they sell the bowling balls to their customers. What would be the retail price of the bowling ball? Retail price means after the markup, and markup means add your amount onto the price that the store bought it for. So markups were in our journal, and they were on page 22. We need to set up our proportion. There is more than one way to do this, We want to know the price after the markup. So I'm going to have 60 and then I'm going to add something else and then see what it equals. So my price must be higher than $60 to start with. So C cannot be the right choice. Okay. I don't know how much I'm going to add on to the 60. Whoops. Goodness. Let me erase that. I don't know how much I'm going to add on to the 60, but it's going to be 40%. So one thing you could do is multiply these two and then divide by 100. Or you can make your 40% a decimal and then just multiply and be done. It's totally your choice. I'm going to go with my 60. Dividing by 100 just means making your decimal for your percent. 0, 0, then a placeholder 0, and then 24. All the digits behind the decimal, there were 2 of them. So this is the amount I should add, $24. That's the markup. So I can put 24 right here. 60 plus 24 should be 84. Then that would leave us B as the best answer. Number 9, Amanda increased the amount of protein she eats every day from 35 to 42 grams. By what percentage did Amanda increase the amount of protein she eats? This was on page 21 of our journal. So if you need to look back at your notes, the things we need to know, the really, really, really important part is where did she start from? Because when I set up my proportion, the amount I start from is going to be on the bottom. 100%, our proportion always goes there. We don't know the percent that she went up. That's what we're trying to determine because all of our answer choices are in percents right here. But I do know what the real quantity is, so I would subtract these two numbers. 42 minus 35. And when you subtract that, you have to borrow. And 12 minus 5 is 7. So 7's the amount I got when I subtracted. I would then take these that are diagonal and I would multiply them. 7 times 100 is 700. And then I divide by this third number that I haven't used yet, which is 35. 35 divides into 700. 35 times 2 is 70. But I still have another digit, so I do need to keep it and bring it down and say 35 cannot go into 0. So my answer would be 20. She increased her protein by 20%. Number 10, what is the constant of proportionality for the graph below? So we have our x and our y's. This first dot is lined up with 1, and then over here it's lined up with something that's between 0 and 10. It's probably going to be 5, but to make sure, I'm going to use this dot that's lined up perfectly with 2 and 10 is the one I'm going to choose. So 2 on the x and 10 on the y. If I were to divide these two numbers to figure out what is the relationship, 2 divided with 10 goes 5 times. So my answer would be 5.